talk to us specifically about Tesla's position in China. Tesla shares are now trading at an all-time record high. Yes, it did get a Trump bump. It's up 71% year to date. But how are they positioned in the Chinese market? Of course, there are a lot of players in China.
Tesla has a very unique position in China, I would say, because when you think about what an EV is, most of these startup EV players, be it the XPengs, NIOs, etc., they all use Tesla as their prototype. And in that sense, Tesla does have, I would say, a brand halo in China, which is one of the reasons why, and you've seen the weekly data, that Tesla has been continuing to hold their market share to a pretty high degree, I would say, relative to where the other players are coming into. Now, one of that's brand power. Two, I would say, recently, they have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of their pricing. So you mentioned that they've offered a very near-term discount for the end of the year, about 10,000 RMB on their Model Y, which is their best seller. They have 0% financing. But the other thing I think worth mentioning about Tesla in China, and I guess globally as well, is that next year is expected that they'll have a Model Y refresh. So my feeling is this year, those strong numbers you just saw, part of that is they're just trying to clear out the old inventory of Model Y because they're expecting this new Model Y to come in next year.
Mandy jumping in here as well. We can't get away from the big conversation at the moment, and that is impending tariffs from the incoming Trump administration 2.0. What impact might there be on the Chinese EV market from that? And I'll also throw into the mix the fact that Chinese EVs, because they're so cost efficient and formidable competitors to European automakers, it's been a hot button political issue in the Eurozone as well.
Yeah, no, that's been a really big swing factor in terms of how investors are looking at the China auto market, especially the larger players like BYD, like Geely, that do have the ability to actually sell a lot of cars overseas. Now, specifically for the tariffs, I think it really is about the US and the EU. I think the EU situation now is much clearer, given that they finalized the tariff position, I think, in October, and there's a possibility, and this is the part that's unclear, that China and the EU are trying to negotiate some sort of trade pact in order to get more Chinese EVs exported into the EU market. So that we'll need to wait and see. On the US side, I think at this moment, I would be very surprised if anyone seriously was trying to model in that China is going to sell a bunch of EVs in the US anytime soon. That said, Trump is a bit unpredictable. We don't know exactly how he wants to approach this market. And the questions become, one, will Chinese automakers be able to produce in Mexico and eventually kind of ship those cars or truck those cars over into the US? That's unclear. And the second point is, will Chinese EV makers even consider building production facilities in the US? So these are the things that we're looking out for.